Dodge, Ram, and Jeep are struggling so bad right now that the federal government is having to step up with a huge amount of money to bail them out right now. And now their parent company, Stellantis, is trying to pay their employees to leave so they can stay afloat. And even during this crisis, Stellantis is trying to sell trucks and SUVs for 6 figures. What's going on right now? Well, find out right here on Ideal. Let's go. All of the insanity with Stellantis recently is based off of one thing. They will not offer affordable, desirable vehicles that customers can justify buying right now. Stellantis' entire major American lineup of brands, including Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Chrysler, are all suffering in sales because their vehicles, well, they are insanely expensive. Their transition to electrification is blind to the customers' demands, and the dealerships are having all sorts of issues trying to get people on board with their products. And though we'll get to all of that later, the big news is this. The government is stepping in with more than $1 billion to help Stellantis weather the storm of transitioning to electric vehicles. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of money. Stellantis warned everybody and told them that this would be a turbulent year just a couple months ago, with some of the worst performance in sales in recent history. And well, they weren't lying, because get a load of this. Ram is down 26% in Q2 compared to last year. Jeep is down 19% year over year, with vehicles like the Gladiator falling 24% and the Grand Cherokee down 26% in sales since last year. Chrysler has also fallen 19% with their sole offering in the Pacifica minivan. And Dodge is doing dodgy things because it's down 17% since last year, with the Durango suffering big losses and the new compact Hornet SUV seeing barely 4,000 units sold in Q2. These are the kind of numbers that often sound the alarm of bankruptcy. Pontiac, for example, saw a similar 25% sales drop year over year in 2008. Just a couple of years before they went to the way of the doo-doo bird. And yes, that was in the middle of a recession, but America is experiencing a milder recession right now, and Stellantis' numbers aren't that much better than Pontiac's were at that time. And Mercury, another defunct American OEM, saw a 26% drop in sales from 2007 to 2008. Again, this was during the recession, but 26% is the number that Ram posted for Q2 alone. And who knows how much worse it'll get by the end of Q3 or Q4. But back to those government funds. With the current administration offering over $1 billion to Stellantis and also GM, their goal is to bolster these brands with the cash infusion to make sure jobs aren't being laid off and make sure that the government's goals for EV to take hold of the market don't falter. And though this isn't quite as dire as the late 2000s automaker situation, this is all very reminiscent of the bailouts that the American government did when they shelled out something like $10 billion for the big three in order to literally save their asses. And well, yeah, it actually kind of worked and led to the profits just a few years later. And we thought that the world would literally be crumbling financially. And one could easily say that this most recent bailout for Stellantis and GM would do the same job. However, the second big piece of news makes that slightly less likely. Stellantis just announced that they are offering their white-collar employees buyout options so that they can stay afloat. In simple terms, Stellantis is scared that their business will continue to lose money, and they are doing everything they can to downsize and cut costs, including offering mid to high-level employees a sack of cash to voluntarily get laid off. And if not enough people agree to this, well, then they're just gonna have to lay them off anyway. It's a now or never situation for Stellantis' employees. Either they take what they can now, or they will just get dumped in a few months with nothing to show for their years of work. Looks like the government's money might actually not save jobs after all, huh? And so for the lower level factory workers, well, with a lack of management and cost cutting going through the sunroof, they could be working in overdrive in these plants that the federal government is forcing to stay open with their $1 billion bailout. We could possibly be looking at major strikes, even worse sales figures, and a crumbling of Stellantis as we know it. But wait, how did we get here in the first place? How did sales get so bad that one of the biggest companies in the world can't afford to pay their employees a salary? As we said in the beginning, All this stems from Stellantis themselves, pricing their vehicles tens of thousands of dollars more than they should and giving buyers a really easy decision to walk away from their dealerships. So let me show you exactly what I am talking about. Starting with the Ram, we've got a couple of 2500 limiteds here. Higher trim, crew cab, all-wheel drive, medium level towing, and payload. Honestly, that's a really nice truck. I wouldn't mind taking it off the lot myself. I don't mind myself. But wait, that price seems to be blurred. Hey, editor, can you help me out with this? OMG. You can see that is close to $106,000 out the door for trucks that are admittedly nice, but they are also 2024 models. The 2025 Rams are already hitting dealerships, and we still have 2024s that are being listed at six figures? Okay, what about a 1500? Something that's not as heavy duty. It's gotta be cheaper, right? And that's a whole lot of $83,000 for a Ram 1500. And mind you, again, this is a 2024 model, and they have already discounted it by a few $1,000 down from 85 grand. What a steal, guys, huh? But let's see how Dodge is doing its pricing for new car inventory these days, shall we? Let's check out this 2024 Dodge Durango SRT 392. It's got the ever desirable 6.4 liter V8, all-wheel drive, and could be a great mix between a family vehicle and a fun one. But you know what's not so fun? Almost $92,000 out of your bank account for a low to mid-level SUV with a big engine option. That's ludicrous, considering the financial troubles that Dodge is having right that. Okay, how about this Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat? Cool. That's 700 plus horsepower supercharged V8, some cool color matched exterior pieces, big wheels and tires. This is genuinely a great performer. But there's a 1-2 punch with this one. Firstly, it costs $106,000, which is down from what they were asking, $110,000. Kicker, this is a 2023. It's like, in dog years, 20 years old. I mean, how are they asking that much for pretty much a lot rot car? So, what about Jeep? Maybe it's a Jeep thing we wouldn't understand. We had one and didn't love it, but take a look. Oh, yes, a pair. Two 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Summits. They are optioned slightly differently, with one having the Summit Reserve package, and they both have the V6. Let's see what they're asking. Wow. That's 70 grand out the door for what should be an affordable family SUV. Check out the original MSRP, 73 and 75K. These two 2024s are already discounted and still remain over the $70,000 mark. What about something a little bit more fun-oriented? Yes, the badass Wrangler 392. Here is a couple of new 2024 listings that we found. And can you guess what the original MSRP price is on these Wranglers? I'll give you 2 seconds. $109K. But wait, can you guess what they actually listed for the purchase price for these right now? In 2 seconds. Yeah, can you believe that? $139,000 for a Wrangler. That is a $30,000 dealer markup. And no, the Wrangler 392 with all that power and the huge tires is not necessarily what the masses are looking to buy. However, it is a fantastic representation of what Stellantis' companies think that they can get away with these days. Stellantis, as we have discussed, is in a period of extreme internal struggle with possibly impending layoffs, huge dips in sales across all their American companies, and now they are forcing dealers to try and sell cars and trucks for tens of thousands of dollars more than what they should be. And you'll notice Stellantis products listed on places like Car Gurus, Auto Trader, and wherever you shop for vehicles tend to be higher trim level vehicles, or at the very least, there is a lack of base model products that the OEMs are offering. And that's because during the pandemic era, companies like Stellantis realized that they could produce fewer vehicles if they were a higher trim unit, because they could sell each of them for a much higher price and a much bigger profit margin. And now, the residual effects of that are showing as we continue into 2024. Stellantis is still somehow trying to cash in on producing a lot of higher trim vehicles that cost 70, 80, 90, even over 100 grand. And almost everyone is being priced out and are looking to other OEMs for new cars, and rightfully so. And with the cost of living skyrocketing, wages stagnating, and the economy doing worse than ever, it's getting harder and harder for people to justify spending that much cash on a new vehicle. And then there's just the plain old public opinion. As soon as Stellantis started the wide-ranging move to EVs and hybrids, customers started to get weary that their favorite powertrains and models would be discontinued. And well, that is exactly what happened. The Challenger saw the chopping block just recently, the V8s are all being phased out, the companies are not producing the ICE trucks that everyone used to pay top dollar for, and now we have seen CEOs like Dodge's Tim Kuniskis leave on their own accord, most likely because he was a big part of their success the last few decades, and he spotted the downturn of Stellantis' business plans as a sign to get out. People are losing faith in these companies that used to represent the classic American automaker that are now becoming out of touch with their core working class demographics. The folks that like to see V8s and ICE offered in their trucks and SUVs, and those who would love to buy a family vehicle for a reasonable price from their local dealer. So, at this point, it's hard to say whether or not Stellantis can effectively make this transition and either retain loyal customers or garner new interest from their future products. And this billion-dollar federal bailout, which it may have worked in the past, looks like it's a band-aid on a gunshot wound. Keeping plants open and jobs in the hands of the working folks is always a good thing, but those are just the surface level issues at Stellantis. It will likely take a much deeper systematic change in the form of pricing reevaluations, to product planning, to dealership relations, and many more to actually bring Stellantis back to life. It's like doing CPR on an automaker. Though, honestly, only time will tell, I suppose. And when the time finally comes, well, you can bet that we'll be here to give you that all-important update. But what do you guys think about the Stellantis situation right now? Would you consider buying their product at their current prices, or would you look somewhere else? Where would you look? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out these Ideal vids over here. I'm Brad, this is Ideal, we'll see you next week, and promise me one thing, keep living the Ideal lifestyle.